Okay, so on the left, we've got Savin of France, and on the right, Garrick Meinhardt. This is for the 32s, so it's the first bout of the 64. Whoever wins this ends up in the 32. Maybe we can turn the volume up a little bit here without drowning out my voice. That looks a little better. Whoa, okay, right out of the gate, beat attack by Meinhardt with a long, pretty straight lunge and hits. But there's definitely a coupe in there. And Savin pulls his arm back, whereas Meinhardt goes with the arm straight, so it's attack in preparation for Meinhardt. Okay. Meinhardt starts big. He starts his attacks compound and finishes quite direct. Ooh, great little reaction by Meinhardt. He got the parry. Savin escaped off the side of the strip, and Meinhardt just chased him. That's the right way to do it. So Meinhardt has a lot of forward and back movement. He goes forward a step, then he goes back a step, then he goes forward 2 steps, then he goes back a step. He just has this a lot of back and forth, and that can make the opponent think that he has a moment to attack. But then Meinhardt switches direction, like this again, and it ends up being Meinhardt's. It's a footwork trap. It's a little bit of a right of way touch, and it can go either way. You really need a referee who is able to follow that kind of movement well. Good little attempt for Meinhardt to counterattack, end up with off target. So it is risky. Attack from Savin. It's risky for Meinhardt, but the thing is he's always doing it, so he's really an expert in it, and so it's much riskier for everybody else to try to get into that game. That was good. That was a similar, almost the same thing, but now turned around, except that Savin's movement was much more forward, so he didn't really stop. He slowed down, but the referee decided he didn't stop. Attack from Savin is no. Counterattack from Garrick is good. All right, sometimes I'm going to say Garrick instead of Meinhardt. That's the name I associate with him. There we go. Great little flesh, beat attack flesh, and Savin did a good job getting out and trying to get the parry post, but ended up off target. Yep, I agree. Counter parry post by Meinhardt, very good. And it was a very nice second intention. So Savin basically was doing a counter time. Savin was pushing. Meinhardt does a short little attack. Savin parries, and then Meinhardt does a counter parry repost. Very nice attack from Savin. Once Savin gets Meinhardt going back, Meinhardt is less able to do his game of going forward and back all the time. And very nice little straight attack. Savin seems to be finding the moment. So either he's finding the moment by pushing Meinhardt back and then finishing quite straight, or he's finding the moment just as he did there, where in that moment where Meinhardt goes back and then he's hitting quite straight. But it's hard because he's lost some touches trying to do that. And he's lost them by trying to do it, but it's actually Meinhardt's attack in that moment, and then Meinhardt ends up just finishing and hitting. But when Meinhardt doesn't feel that he has the right of way, he will parry. And so Savin has to try to read that moment where Meinhardt will more likely go for the parry, and then he tries to finish. Yeah, exactly. So beat attack from Meinhardt is no, and Savin manages to slip inside the tip there. Because Meinhardt starts so big at first and then finishes straight, I feel that Savin really has two options here. He can either make the counterattack work, Like he's trying that right now. It sort of worked in the last one, even though that's not really what it was. It was more like a simultaneous action, and then he kind of got the counterattack because he was having a lot of momentum going forward and sort of felt the moment. Whereas in that, not the one that happened right now, but the one right before, he really did try to do the counterattack. So when Meinhardt took the beat, Savin dove in. And so Savin, I think, maybe he has opportunity to get the counterattack in the beginning of Meinhardt's attacks because they're really compound right at the beginning, or he has to get the parry in the second phase. That was very nice. This time he got the parry actually quite early. He reached out early and got the circle 6 repost, interrupting Meinhardt's attack. That attack has been working for Savin, but Meinhardt made sure to keep further away that time. Okay, he tries to he tries to beat, flesh, flick to the shoulder. And the beats that he's doing them as a grazing beat. So he's beating the blade and he's pulling the blade way back at the same time, making it very hard to counter parry. And then he just did it again, but this time he missed, and Savin got the counterattack. In theory, it was the right choice by Savin, but the distance was such that Meinhardt really could have gotten a light on. But the flick, it's always risky. It's always risky. I don't say that to say that Meinhardt didn't do the flick properly or not at all. I'm just saying that at that distance, the odds were high that the flick could have put on a light. That was a good little... It looked like a little counterattack by Meinhardt. Meinhardt is getting some counterattacks as well. When Savin is going a bit more compound, Meinhardt's able to get the counterattack. So by that I mean when Savin is getting close with his tip back, like that, Meinhardt is able to get the counterattack. There, he almost got it. He just hit the arm, but it was exactly that same moment. Simultaneous actions. I actually think it was a little bit more for Savin than for Meinhardt. I thought Meinhardt was inviting a bit too slowly with the arm too far back, and I think Savin saw that moment and really tried to steal it with a straight lunge. But the referee didn't see it that way, and Savin did not ask for video. He's got 2 videos left. He didn't ask for video, so I guess he wasn't that confident. This one, I do agree with, absolutely. Meinhardt noticed that Savin had his arm back, and he just much more smoothly and directly finished, whereas Savin really held his arm back even more and was hesitating quite a bit. And that's how right-of-way works, right? If you're hesitating too much, if you're inviting too much, the theory is that, well, if you're not sure, you should be defending yourself and parry and not just sticking your arm out. That was... Maybe he got the parry beforehand. Savin's not arguing with that, so I guess that was a good call. That was a very nice little counterattack by Savin. I'd like to see the one before again. You guys can look at it afterwards and see what you think what happened there. Attack left from Savin is off target. He does these very nice little circle 6 reposts at different distances as well, and kind of in different ways. He can do them big, close to the body. He can do them far out in front of him. It's good. I think Savin needs to try to get the attack again a bit more. He was doing well with that. So into the pushing attack, at least a few steps. Or when he sees that Meinhardt is really quite clearly jumping back, so giving up his right-of-way, then maybe Savin can get him with just an advanced lunge. He's gotten that touch a few times. He's also has been able to get the counterattack sometimes, but it's really risky because Meinhardt is really good at getting the tip out in front of him, even though he starts with a beat where he pulls the tip way back and with a fast movement forward. He starts that way, but he is able to get the tip out very quickly again. And for Meinhardt, I would definitely, if I end up on the back, or yeah, my advice is if he ends up going back, that he really tries to convince Savin to finish straight and then go for the parry repost, but not at too close of a distance, so rather keep the distance far. That was nice. Yeah, Savin, I wouldn't fight in the middle. I think fighting in the middle for Savin is not going well. Okay. I thought that was definitely Meinhardt's action, but Savin managed to slip the tip there. Yeah, I think going compound is also not a good move for Savin. At least it hasn't been so far. Maybe he can find a way to make it work. But so far, his compound attacks have really costed him a lot of counterattacks. So Meinhardt has been getting a lot of counterattacks on Savin's compound attacks. Like here, he should just be finishing with a lunge. Like that. That's the kind of lunge, except with the arm more out, that I think he should be trying to get. He should be trying to getting this set up, because he has been able to get several touches on that first intention. And by doing that, he negates Meinhardt's ability to counterattack. That was good. And Meinhardt also did the right thing by parrying. So Savin went more straight. Meinhardt parried. He stopped a bit long for my taste, and Savin just went and attacked again. If Meinhardt had gotten the light on, it really kind of would have been 50-50. The referee could have said, okay, Meinhardt's parry repost was in time, or it was too late. This is a very good pushing attack by Meinhardt. He hasn't done too many of those. So where he's really pushing Savin to the end, and then he beats and hits. The reason he doesn't do that often is because he switches direction so often that it doesn't give him the time to build up these long attacks. But here he's doing it again because he saw that it worked. Yeah, and Savin's really, this is a tough position for Savin. Savin maybe should try to get him to start his attack very compound and then counterattack right away. The referee says it was a counter parry post for Savin. The video quality, it's honestly difficult for me to see. Even if I was standing right in front of them, it would also be difficult to see. Which is why Meinhardt asked the referee to review the video immediately. So we'll see what she comes back with. So, yeah, Meinhardt's starting compound, finishing quite straight. And he's gone from a very back and forth strategy to pushing more. Savin has managed to get the parry post, so that's good. So since Meinhardt is doing this kind of two-part attack, first part compound, second part direct, Savin sort of has two possibilities. He can either counterattack in the first part or parry repost in the second part. This time he got the parry post in the second part. For me, he's not trying enough the counterattack in the first part, but it is scary. I get why he's not doing that. That was good. He just went out and parried. That was very nice. Again, he managed to go out and get the parry repost. Meinhardt got the counter parry repost off target. This is also very smart from Meinhardt. It's exactly what he needs to do. If your opponent has a very good chance of parrying you, you need to be ready for the counter parry. There we go. That's the counterattack I was talking about. Where as soon as Meinhardt starts his compound action in the first moment, that's the moment to do the counterattack. Meinhardt is very insistent on attacking, which makes sense because he has been winning the middle. And if you win the middle, you get a special prize, which is you get to decide whether you're going to attack or defend. The reason for that is simple. The fight in the middle happens because both fencers insist on going forward. And if you reliably get the touch in that moment, then you can continue to just go forward, and your opponent has to give ground or else continue losing in the middle. So they can choose lose quick or lose slow, and they should choose lose slow because they might be able to turn it around. And if they do start to turn it around, well, then you can again start winning in the middle if they want to push. Or you can say, you know what, attacking's not working for me, and you can start to defend. So that's what's so great about being competent in the middle. Is that you get to choose attack or defense. That was good. That's the right kind of action by Savin. In my opinion, too conservative, but it's the right concept. If Garrick starts too quick and too big, he's going to eat a counterattack. Just like that. But he honestly didn't start that quick. He got close, but he was slow with the feet. And being slow with the feet, it's good if your opponent is going to collapse the distance with the counterattack, but it's difficult if your opponent is going to do a stop hit and go out with the counterattack. And so Savin made the right choice there. Garrick needed to be ready to lunge straight in the moment where he felt Savin's counterattack coming, or to do the counter time. It's definitely a difficult position. Savin has really brought this back. I think Garrick should be defending, though. Or he should be going very conservative and then doing counter parry post. Just like that. That was very good by Garrick, but his light didn't go off on the repost. But that's exactly the decision. That's the right decision. But the flick has not been working. So I think he made the right tactical choice, but he made the wrong technical choice by going to a target which has not been working for him. And now he went big again, and Savin did the counterattack. So Savin is doing really the basic smart thing to do. Meinhardt is trying, or in that one he just kind of went big again. Maybe he tried to defeat it with a counter time. That's good too, because he can do a counter time in the first part of his action. There he went very straight, ready for the counter parry, hopefully. Yeah, exactly. He's trying to provoke a parry repost from Savin so he can do a counter parry. Or trying to do some kind of counter time. But the thing is, it wasn't really a counter time. It was a beat attack. The reason it's not so much a counter time is because he's not stopping his action. And so that makes leaves him a little bit open to the collapsing distance counter attack. It's very good fencing by both of them. I think Meinhardt ended up being a bit too aggressive because he had the choice in the end. So he won the middle. So that was awesome. So he won the middle. And then he kind of had and then he was winning the attacks. But then Savin started being very clever and getting the counterattack in the first part of Meinhardt's attack, or getting the parry repost in the last part of Meinhardt's attack, and maybe getting a little bit lucky once or twice so that Meinhardt's flick didn't work. But instead of switching to defense, Meinhardt ended up just trying to find the solution on the attack. And he did try to find the solution by trying to go a bit more for a counter time type thing, but in my opinion, it was still too much going forward. So in that way, too much of a beat. And he also tried going a bit more for a second intention. So going a bit shorter and then catching the counter parry repost, but he missed a couple of those reposts because he was going to the flick. Yeah, so and he could have, so the thing that I felt was still that he could have done was, as I said, change the target area. So not go so much for the flick for the back. But what I think is really the better advice would have been to go back into the defense, which the defense was not always working for him because Savin does have this very good sort of straight-ish attack, a simple attack with the arm really out there, which doesn't leave a lot of opening for counterattack. But I just think that added uncertainty for Savin of having to deal just with juggle more balls would have worked in Meinhardt's favor, because I think Meinhardt's advantages are really in the arm. So Meinhardt has, he's extremely mobile with his feet, but he also has just an incredible parry repost ability. And so if he's going back and he's running a lot of interference on Savin, since Savin is looking for a rather early moment to finish his attack, that's what's making his attack work, is that he's finishing early. But there's a downside to that, which is since you're looking for an early moment, you're kind of on a hair trigger. And so if Meinhardt's giving him a lot of interference, there's a good chance that Savin is going to jump the gun and start finishing early, and that's going to open the door for Meinhardt to get into a parry war with Savin, where I think Meinhardt definitely has an advantage. Anyway, it's great fencing by both of them. Love to see this kind of bout, and I love to see these two fencers. Hope you enjoyed it.